Let's go to Central Lobby in the building behind me and speak to Iain Duncan Smith. Hello to you, Mr. Duncan Smith. Thanks for joining us on the programme this afternoon. I believe that you didn't put a letter in last time when people like Jacob Rees-Mogg were trying to rally the troops. Will she face a vote of confidence next week, in your opinion? Will you vote against her?
It's very difficult to say. It depends hugely, obviously, on what transpires over the next 24 or 48 hours. I'm told that the Cabinet is now meeting, and so I understand that they're discussing whether or not to postpone the vote. That will have a huge bearing. What do they intend to do? What is really in the focus of all my colleagues right now is the idea of whether or not the Prime Minister is going to undertake to go back to the EU and say simply, this treaty as it stands, with the withdrawal agreement, which will become an international treaty, cannot stand, will not pass Parliament, and therefore has to have major changes made to it, and they need to get on and do that. And if she undertakes to do that categorically, then I suspect people will let her. But if there is any humming and harming or games being played, then that may change the perspective, and colleagues will make their own decisions about that. But it's very important that the Prime Minister and the Cabinet now send a strong signal that they've listened, they've learned, they understand that this is simply not going to pass, and they're going to make major changes to the agreement, not to the future political declaration.
You weren't listening to our Beth Rigby a little bit earlier on, were you, Mr. Duncan Smith? So I'll update you again. And what the latest situation is that let me update you if I may, and that is that Cabinet has broken up.
My apologies
and that they have decided. I'll pass those on to her. Cabinet has broken up, and they are going to continue on with that vote on Tuesday, which she will undoubtedly lose. That's certainly the information that we are receiving. As a result, do you think that she should face a motion of confidence, and would you vote against her?
Well, my colleagues certainly have already put letters in. I don't know whether others put letters in. I've always said that I'm in a peculiar position, having been a leader of the party. I know that some might think that's not peculiar, but I think it is. But my colleagues, I know a number of colleagues, will want to know why we're heading to a vote when they're going to lose that vote, and when the government will plunge itself after 3 defeats into yet another defeat, causing a certain amount of chaos to the idea of the government of this country. And I think it's very important for them to take stock right now about where they're going on this, that people will not accept modifications, will not accept marginal change. What they're after is, and particularly with the backstop, which will trap us and destroy the Union of the United Kingdom, they need to see that changed, and changed in the agreement. And so it depends really very much now on what the government has to say about what their plans are, particularly as and when they're defeated. So I think you'll find most colleagues, myself included, will wait and see until what happens on Tuesday evening and what the response, immediate response is from the government.
What more does she need to do as far as the Northern Ireland backstop is concerned in order to get you on side?
Well, it's not just us, of course. The DUP are vital in this matter. But the clear issue is that the whole backstop is symptomatic, really, of what's happened with the withdrawal agreement. It is an agreement that traps us for the first time ever in a position where, in an international treaty, we cannot resile from that treaty just on our own decision. So we now rely on the European Union to agree with us. So as we go towards the backstop, all negotiations on future trade arrangements will in fact be hopeless, because they'll just wait till we get close and then strip us of all our decision making. So we have to say that all has to go and be replaced by simple open borders stuff, and there'll be other bits and pieces too. But the key thing is, in the withdrawal agreement, in the international treaty, changes must be made, not just in the political declarations.
We're almost out of time, but I do want to put this to you. There's nothing that she can do, she would say. As a result of that, she's got what she can from Europe. Basically, you are just knitting by the guillotine. You're waiting for 7 o'clock on Tuesday to get rid of her.
No, actually not. By the way, everybody would say that if they're presenting something to you, and so would the EU. But in every negotiation I've ever been in, every organisational structure, it's always a case that if people recognise what they want in there cannot be delivered ultimately, and they need to protect that, then they will sit down and talk to us. The EU has a vested interest in certain areas, like their money, etc., being paid to them, that they need to get an agreement through, and so do we want one. But we need to have an agreement that trusts each other and is balanced, and this one does not. This is a one-way process, putting the United Kingdom in a legal trap. That's what the Attorney General said. And so we're simply saying to the Prime Minister, you know and we know that this is not in the best interest of the UK. Go back, tell them that, and say we need changes. And then, when they sit down and listen to you, get those changes made and come back.
Okay, for now, Iain Duncan Smith, thank you very much indeed.